all Inderes TV viewers. We have released a new extensive report on Nexstim, and today we'll discuss about the company with our analyst Antti Siltanen. Could you first tell us a little bit about Nexstim as a company and what kind of products they have in their portfolio?
Nexstim designs and sells systems that enable modulating brain function. So the technology is called transcranial magnetic stimulation, and it means that the system has a magnetic coil which is placed outside the head. It creates an electric field and that affects brain electrical functionality. And Nexstim has built two businesses on top of this technology, or they have developed the technology further and made two businesses. So one is called diagnostic business. That means that you can use the system for mapping brain areas, specifically areas that control our speech and then motor function, like fine control of fingers, for example. And the system is used for planning difficult brain surgeries. So for example, if there's a tumor next to an area that controls speech, then you can use the Nexstim system to really accurately define where the speech area is and where the tumor is. And then the surgeon can plan for the operation and operate very, very precisely on the tumor, remove the tumor, and then leave the speech area intact. And that leads to better surgical results. Then the next, or the other area is called therapy area. So in there, you can use this TMS technology for many different types of brain disorders. And Nexstim is focused on treating severe depression, which is an area where many other companies also operate in. And the other one is chronic pain, and that is more specific for Nexstim, so there's less competition in that area. But those are the two areas: diagnostics for planning for surgeries, and then therapy for treating patients.
Okay, sounds very important and interesting. Well, next we could talk a little bit about Nexstim's business model. So what kind of parts makes Nexstim's revenue, and what kind of potential does the company have when it comes to profitability?
Well, the current business is built on the system sales and also recurring revenue that is connected to the system sales. So for the majority of the systems that are sold, Nexstim also sells a service agreement that kind of brings in service revenue. And also when patients are being treated with these systems, there are these single-used parts that are kind of recurrently used, and they bring kind of high profit revenue for Nexstim. Nexstim also leases the system, so that also brings recurring revenue. Then there are two kind of new business areas on top of this system sales and system business. One is licensing business. So Nexstim has made an agreement to license their technology to another operator in the TMS space. That is a big contract for Nexstim in the upcoming years. So we are waiting for that licensing period to start at the end of next year, approximately 1 year from now. So it should bring a lot of revenue for Nexstim during the next 5 or 6 years. So the third part of the business model is supporting the clinics that actually undertake the patient treatments. So Nexstim's idea is that the clinics can focus solely on treating the patients, and they then support the clinics in the administrative tasks like welcoming patients and billing the patients and so things like this. And this will require investments, and we haven't at least yet heard of kind of new openings in this area, but we are kind of waiting for news any day now. So Nexstim has recently agreed on a loan to make strategic investments, and we are expecting that these investments could be directed to this service model. So that will be kind of a new business model for Nexstim.
Okay, let's see how this develops. Well, next, could you tell us a little bit about the market in Nexstim's industry and how is the competition there?
The market overall is a growing one, so the TMS technology and the use of TMS technologies is kind of moving forward, and the trend in the therapy area specifically is that treatment periods are currently the treatment period is from 4 to 6 weeks, so it takes a lot of time and also commitment from the patient side. So the new model will be that the patients are treated within 1 week. So that we believe that in the future will kind of create more volume for the TMS therapy, and that should kind of increase the market as a whole. Then looking at the kind of competitive environment, there are about 10 players in the TMS space making different kinds of systems. Some of them are cheaper and less technologically advanced, and some are more similar to Nexstim in terms of making precise treatments for very precise brain areas. Two of the competitors are listed, so we know a little bit more about them. Those are clearly bigger players. Their revenues are about tenfold bigger than that of Nexstim's. And those companies are, at least our interpretation is that they are kind of trying to achieve market share and not prioritize their profitability. So they're making big losses currently. We will see how that develops. I think they cannot sustain the losses for a number of years, so that can then change the competitive space. And then the smaller players, we know a little bit less about those, but there have been some technological advances within those companies, so we believe that the competition space is a little bit more difficult currently than it was a couple of years ago.
Okay, sounds like an interesting field. Well, next, let's talk about Nexstim as an investment. What kind of value drivers and risk factors does the company have?
Well, one of the growth drivers or value drivers is the new NBS 6 system. The system was launched spring this year for the therapy applications, and then the diagnostic applications should follow next year. So FDA approval and CE labeling. And as of yet, we haven't heard of any deals with the NBS 6 system yet, but we're kind of waiting for those to start coming in quite soon. And maybe when the system then is approved for the diagnostic applications next year, I think there will be sort of more drive to sell those systems at that point. The new system should be more easy to use, and it's also a modular structure, so the clients can, if they want a new application, for example, if they want to start treating chronic pain, they can do a software update. So it's easy for the client, and it will also bring recurring revenue, very high profitable recurring revenue for Nexstim. So that's clearly one growth driver. We'll see how the NBS 6 takes off, but that will be interesting for the next year or two. We also already talked about the licensing revenues, so we don't know how that will realize in the next years, but Nexstim is waiting for 13.5 million euro revenue during the whole 5-year period. So that's very big for Nexstim. Our expectation is a little bit lower, but still in the same ballpark. So we'll see how that comes in, and it will be very important for Nexstim. And then the third part is the clinic service model. So that will require investments from Nexstim. So we just have to wait for the news and see how that develops.
Okay, it remains to be seen.
Yes.
Well, next, let's talk a little bit about Nexstim strategy. So what kind of objectives is the company focusing on?
So revenue-wise, they are looking to grow their business this year. That would mean that they would make more than 6 million of revenue this year. And in terms of profitability, they are aiming to be profitable on EBITDA level. So in that case, we have to keep in mind that they are activating their R&D expenses, so that will kind of improve the reported income or EBITDA a little bit, but it does not affect the cash flow.
Okay. Well, Nexstim is still in early stages when it comes to commercialization, and they are aiming for an earnings turnaround. So could you still a little bit talk about Nexstim's financial position?
Well, Nexstim hasn't guided on when they will be profitable on EBIT level, but our expectations that they would be profitable in 2025. So it takes a little bit more time. Then on a cash position point of view, their cash balance at the end of H1 was a little bit over 2 million euros, and system sales still are not profitable at this point. So we are expecting that Nexstim will make a financing round and strengthen the cash position. Then if we look a little bit forward, they should be receiving the licensing revenues that would turn then the business more stably profitable and turn the cash flows positive. But I think there is a sort of a gap in between that Nexstim has to fill with a financing deal.
Okay. Well, lastly, could you comment a little bit on our estimates and valuation?
Well, estimates point of view, we are expecting quite strong growth, so that will come from several sources. One is the NBS6 system sales and recurring revenue from system-based recurring revenue. Then we are expecting the licensing fees to pick up in H2 next year, and then growing year by year. And finally, then we are also expecting revenue from the clinic service model. And especially for the last two business areas, the visibility is not great, but we do have some positive expectations from that part. Then valuation-wise, we are looking at revenue-based multiples, EV sales. So that for this year is 3.5, and for next year 2.5. As I mentioned, we are expecting strong growth. The multiples are not too demanding, especially considering the profitability potential that Nexstim has. They have very high gross margins. But it does require the growth to realize, and also the profitability turnaround. So the valuation is not from that part. It doesn't seem too expensive, but we do need to see those earnings pick up. And if that doesn't happen, then the valuation is highish. From a cash point of view, our DCF model suggests some upside potential, not huge, but some. If the future if we see growth and the cash flows realize as we expect. So overall, it's a difficult call. There is potential for nice returns if the company succeeds in what they are trying to do, but the current operations are not profitable. So if that continues for a period of time, then the valuation is challenging at the moment.
Okay, we'll see what happens.
Yes.
Thank you for the interview, Antti.
Thank you.
And thank you all for watching. A reminder that the new extensive report is readable on the Inderes website. And remember to subscribe to our channel and give us a thumbs up. We'll meet again in new videos. In the meanwhile, we wish you enjoy reading analysis and make good investing decisions.